right, welcome on back. I decided I did want to make at least another video of this. I might go back and do Dark Souls here in a little bit, but this was just had to be said. So she responded back. I don't know. My lengthy reply was very long, and I said, that could have been an alien checking in. Like we could have been a breeding experiment. Is Jesus just the regional manager? Like we know this universe is vast, and actually, wait. Let me read my response actually because I do a bunch of glazing over right there, but it was like a really thought out, albeit rambling, response. Let's see. Okay. Well, let's just back up a little bit. So I said, the people that believe the fairy tale side of Christianity will also often believe Trump cares about the average person more than wealthy people. In human history, several religions had a deity that died, often for 3 days, and then was resurrected. These tales were like Aesop's fables in that it was symbolic of harvest seasons, not a zombie god. And then I posted a link to this history.com's article about 6 ancient resurrection stories. And then people laugh at him. Oh, and then this one lady comes in, drops a couple memes like, oh, anti-Trump, you suck, all this. And then another person said, well, Biden sucks too. And I was like, you know what, you're right. They're both rich people. And then one person was like, and then the actual original poster, he's like, so I take it you're a non-believer. Whoopity-doo. And I think this is where the... No, and they said, so I'm more of a, what you could call a skeptical Christian. I think that most of the Bible is a great guideline for a better, more compassionate humanity, but the fairy tale aspects of it needed to ensure the biggest stick and carrot were enforced in a scalable way. Heaven and hell are tools, often exaggerated even if true. Nice job dropping this worship of a holy father, holy son who's also the father, and his own grandpa on Mother's Day. Because that's true, that today's Mother's Day, and this is when this thing came apart. So then let's see. Robert Wolf. Oh, so no, she's a whole separate thing. She said, let me share something with you, Mr. Know-It-All. God is real and so is Jesus. He proved it to me. I went to a yard sale one day to see if it was still there the day after, and when I went to make a U-turn to pull up in front of the house where the yard sale was, a bright light hit me in the eyes. Like I said, that's kind of dangerous driving. It had hit me it had hit my mirror and blinded me, which blinded me when it hit me in the eyes. My eyes were so blurry I couldn't really see to make the turn, but I did it anyway. I then pulled up in front of the house and it was no longer having the yard sale, so I took the time to wipe the tears out of my eyes so I can see before getting back on the road. But the minute I pulled back onto the road again, that bright light hit me, and this time right in the face. I thought it was the sun until I realized the sun was way over the other side of the sky, so I started wondering what it was that hit me in the eyes that blinded me. So once again, I pulled over and I got out of my car. I looked up and there was a giant open doorway right there in the clear blue sky that looked like it had been cut with a laser. The bright light went across the top of the door about 10 to 12 feet and then down the right side of it about 15 feet and then again across the bottom of the door another 10 to 12 feet. The top and bottom for the same length. I kept wiping my eyes trying to see what was behind that open doorway, but the light was so bright I could not see behind it because it kept blinding me. And then I noticed that this giant doorway was actually moving, and it was fixing to close because the light beaming through it was getting smaller around the doorway. I kept wiping my eyes trying to see what was behind it, but I just couldn't because the light was too bright. And once that doorway closed, it completely disappeared as if it was never there. All that was there now was the sky itself, just like before the doorway appeared, and there is no way on earth that any man could have ever performed magic like that to fool me. I knew what I had seen with my own eyes, and I wasn't high or drunk or nothing. I was straight. And the devil wouldn't do something like that to fool me because it would just make me believe even more that there is a heaven. But the devil hates heaven, so there's no way he's going to do something like that. It would be the biggest I would be the biggest fool in this world if I denied what I had seen that day, and God allowed me to see it because I have always believed in him since I was a tiny kid. He knows what's in my heart, so go ahead and believe whatever you want to believe, but I'm here to tell you and warn you that he is real and heaven is real. When you cross over, there's only two ways to go, up or down, and we choose which we go or where we go by the lives we live in the decisions we make. So I would think twice before denying that he exists if I were you. Okay, so right there, total sci-fi story. Like total like I could totally see that being a UFO or like, aliens or even time travelers or many other explanations or even the actual creator of this earth and like whoever created us human experiments if we were bred like a bunch of the ancient aliens ideology kind of leans to is like aliens, they bred us or they cuz it's not like they dropped us off and they let us know what was going on, because then we would at least have like a record of that communication, or maybe they did, but they didn't write it down, or I don't know. And then people tried to tell it by word of mouth until they could figure out how to write things down. And then, yeah, the telephone game is a perfect example of how that's kind of susceptible to inaccuracies. So then I said, well, let me get some water. Jesus, it's gonna be a bit. So I says, so I didn't say I didn't believe in God. I said I don't believe some of the more fairy tale like stories of the Bible. What you described in no way proves God or Jesus. It could, but where's the part that proves Jesus was God and not just a prophet like Muhammad? See, I think Jesus was a great guy championing for the poor, but he might have only been a legend made to convince people to do right by each other, like heaven and hell, like Santa Claus. Just focusing on human psychology to see, or just focusing on human psychology to where we do these things to protect and enforce laws in our absence, so too would people try to convince people that someone's always watching. The neat thing is that now someone really is always watching. I don't know if I want to read all this. Well, okay, I might as well. It's just, I hate how it sounds. So it says, I'm a certified white hat cybersecurity professional, which just means I have basic training in cyber. From that and a bachelor's of science in applied computing technology convinces me that we have the technology to track just about everything. If there's a traffic light, satellite, or even radar in the area, it can all be tracked. And the main things that are being hunted are murder and pedophilia. I was taught by a 20-year veteran of military intelligence, and he would tell stories of how he hunted filth and dangerous people. Now, God does exist, but it depends on what we mean by God, and that's in quotes. Something or someone created us, and for that I give thanks. But the ancient astronaut theory of alien life breeding us on this earth could just as easily be backed up by your story. Aliens checking in on us, but using tech we can't even begin to understand. For now. And who created the creators? Is Jesus the last stop? If he truly did have a hand in creating Earth humans, who's top boss, especially in a universe we already know to be so vast? Is Jesus just the regional manager? My point is it's dangerous to give blind faith and devotion to an idol, intentional or accidental, and it's especially insulting to Muslims and any other religion, as only our religion had a real Jesus God. The rest were prophets, just guided by the same God, because nowhere in the Bible does it say God just made some of the people. Supposedly he made all humans. And I really believe that. Like, I mean, I grew up reading a lot of the Bible, not all of it. I mean, in fact, I've been shown things I was like, oh, I've never even known that was a thing. So there could be stuff in there. So then she replies, whew, it's not blind faith, and he's not an idol. He is real. I have seen Jesus myself when I was at my lowest point, and you can make out of that whatever you want to, but I'm not going to sit here and argue with you. I know they are both real and heaven is real. As for the rest of it, you might want to get on your knees and have a good talk with God, and maybe he'll answer those questions for you if you start believing in him and stop doubting. But I don't think that's going to happen for you because you don't seem to have much faith that he or his son exists at all. What I told you is only one of the things God has showed me over the years. I'm not going to tell you the rest of them. If God proved to everyone that asked him to prove he was real, he wouldn't have to have any faith in him at all because we would see the proof for ourselves. And that would make it too easy for all of us. Having a solid relationship with God takes faith. Faith is very important to God because it shows him that we believe in him and his son, without it having to be proved to us while we're here on earth. Believe what you want, but I will guarantee this. Nobody ever really dies. When your body dies here on earth, the spirit inside you leaves that body and starts living in the spirit form instead of the human form. And when we died, there are only two directions to go, up or down, heaven or hell. So believe what you want and take all the chances you want, but no matter what you believe, when it's all said and done, every single one of us will stand before Jesus' judgment before being sent to our final destination. Heaven or hell, the choice is yours depending on how you live your life and the decision to make in your life. Choose wisely. So that sounds all wishy-washy as all get out. I mean, I get where she's coming from, and I know that's the common story told in church, but like, that's why people like George Carlin constantly question that. It's like, and he would do it in a comical way that would nonchalantly just be like, oh, what was it? In the beginning of Zeitgeist, it's a quote of George Carlin, and he's like, God is all around you. He made everything, he's great, but he needs more money. So just keep giving him money, which that's easily explained, like charity donations, let the church guide the money for the good of the people and help the poor, because they do. They do feed a lot of poor, soup kitchens and all that, and they are sanctuaries. But anyways, I digress. And then he's like, but he loves you. And Actually, no, I'm mixing up things now. So that's the end of the George Carlin quote. That wasn't even all of it, but the point where that's where he goes. He loves you, and then he needs more money. But there's memes and stuff out there. It's like Jesus knocking on a door. Actually, hold on. Before I put this away, let me put my response. So then I reply, see, none of that is all that concrete unless Jesus said, quote, hi, my name's Jesus, end quote, or given you a business card, you don't know who that was. Whoever created us did so with a habit of doubting things that don't seem credible. Faith isn't just trust, it's also replacing what we didn't know prior to what we know now. Roman and Greek gods were made to explain the tides, path of the sun, and other things we couldn't at the time. Human understanding just said gods, quote unquote gods, when it could have been the word, quote unquote, forces. The biggest red flag for me to believing the stick and carrot of heaven and hell is the Bible doesn't have anything on a globe for the shape of the earth. It doesn't even have geography of other continents. There's a mention of a circle in the Old Testament, but not a lot of, by the way, you're on a giant ball that orbits the sun. That's why the Catholic Church waged war with science around the Renaissance. They were proven likely wrong, so heathen science that was discovering knowledge that expanded past the Bible was now the devil. But out, but out yourself. Whoops. Oh, let's see. Edit. Oh my gosh. But put yourself. Here we go. Yeah. In the creator's shoes. Even if you told some guidance to some of your creations, how many ways could they screw that up? Many. Just try the telephone game and see how easy it is to mess up a message over how many times it's been told to another. And here's a trip. How do you know God isn't Oh, here we go. Let's edit right here. Mm. Isn't speaking through me right now. I don't feel weird, but would I even know if God wanted to tell you some of this stuff? I mean, I don't think that. And I've heard a ridiculous story of a person coming down to punch a professor that said, if there's a God, strike me now. And the dude is some military guy that said, God's busy watching over the troops, so I did it. That's in no way proof of a God, just that people will go to lengths of violence to show their faith. We need to focus on making a heaven on earth in the off chance that there's nothing after this life. I feel confident that if we were truly made in God's image, they would judge me okay for that. Maybe not great, but not deserving of hellfire. Ugh. There we go. Especially if it helped make life better for his other creations. Which is why I think Trump should build hotels along the border, let them stay there until they earn their citizenship, even make them pay back loans of their stay and education if necessary. But definitely not call other humans animals or evil. Most Latin people are often more ascribing to the Bible too, which is also a slap in the face for them. What would Jesus say about kids in cages? Hate crimes on gays? The relevancy of homosexuality in the Bible is, quote, a man should not lay with another man lest he be stoned, end quote, and the mention of sodomites. Yes, every service during communion it's, quote, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us, end quote. In my mind, that means Jesus or whoever created us, in parentheses, is going to judge more harshly on those throwing stones than actual gay acts. There we go. Whew. That's a lot, and I apologize. That is a lot. But the reason I even went so far into like all the gay stuff is because I've seen a lot of debates about that, and with the Pope coming out saying, well, not coming out, but like the Pope saying that gay marriages, I think it was can now be blessed, but are still seen as an abomination. I don't know. There was still like a catch in there or something, but it was now like they're not immediately. It's not like an immediate you're going to hell type of thing, or they can bless the marriages. Now the actual whatever, I don't know, it was like a cop out, but and even that, like I follow the Pope on X app and I interact on some of his tweets. The poor guy is probably like wide-eyed. I'd be like, who is this guy? Like, what? I mean, if he's even allowed to see some of them, like, I mean, they're not all that bad. Like, a lot of it's like, hey, I think Jesus would have been cool with cannabis, like, or something like that. And I've gotten into some pretty good discussions with people on religion in the Pope's tweets or posts, as they're now known. But like, yeah, it is a trip. It's like I can sit in the privacy of my home and have a conversation with the Pope, His Holiness, on the other side of the world, and I've even told him like certain times exactly what I'm telling this lady now. Is like, and I feel bad because she's probably some like grandma. It's Mother's Day. Like, I'm really messing with her head. I'm trying to be gentle. Like, I know that you got to be careful doing stuff like that. Like, I really freaked out one of my coworkers. I mean, I think he was a little blazed, but like, we were working at a Subway, and somehow, and this was during a time I was like sober for like a good few years there, like completely sober, like no alcohol, no nothing, like, and I was at the time here, like I was just ornery, and so I was like, how do you know we're not in a rubber room right now, and we're just cutting sandwiches in the middle of the air, and we're just talking to ourselves, and he's just like, wait, don't do that, you're messing with me, because there's no way to prove it, and like for all that he knows, I'm just a projection of his mind. That's why it gets really scary with like the thought that this could be a simulation and all that good stuff. So, but no matter what, don't panic. Like to pull from Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which I think is what a lot of that book is meant to be too. Like, be prepared for whatever. The old Boy Scout mottos, be prepared. I mean, even if the most radical of ideas turns out to be true, like how prepared are you for it? Like, are you gonna fare well, or are you gonna fare not so well and be in some trouble? I don't know. I want to get to some Dark Souls, but that was like I'm also working on a couple of things. Let's switch gears too. So like I'm getting back into the Scratch programming, even though it's mostly for kids. Although I say that, but my son pointed out, he's like, no, there's adults that do it too, and that's true. You just need to make sure that it's appropriate for kids because it's a mostly heavily kid platform, I guess I should say. So a lot of the stuff that we talk about here is not going to be in a Scratch program. I don't want to. I mean, at the same time, though, I talk to my kids a little bit like that. I don't like go full blown like what I did with Miss Lady here. I don't want to disrespect her, but I didn't catch her name, and I wouldn't say her name on here just because I don't know. I don't know the exposure that these videos will get in the future. So to be perfectly safe, or as safe as I can, a legitimate level of security, forward-facing or future-facing security, basically future-proof these videos so they age well, as it's been said before. Actually, hey, let's get some emeralds. Because I want to build, so like, now that we know the white is showing up on the mini-map, so you look here, you got that big L, the backwards L. I want to put a green roof. Although I don't know how that's going to look. Maybe it could be even floating up top. Because I also still want to do, like, the angled roofs. Like, what are those called? It's not the apex. Maybe apex or edifice. But it's a part of the structures in, like, ancient Greek buildings and, I mean, really botch and all that, but like I've studied a lot of it, like the architecture, the art within the architecture. And even when I was just in, I was in Antwerp, Belgium, and I was walking around and I saw like this church thing. It was awesome, and I took a lot of pictures of these really intricate statues that were just in like the sides of this church like entryway. It was so cool, but I digress. And like even when I said in the beginning of that conversation with that lady, is like religion is fine. There's a lot of good things from it. It's just the vanity that this one particular, and it could just be a particular instance. Like, say God really is talking to a lot of people. Like, okay, I mean, let's entertain that thought for a bit. Like, say he or she is talking. I feel like Monty Python right now. He or she, but it's true. Like, we don't know. I mean, we have what some letters said, and then it was like translated, and there's a good chance that even King James wanted to make sure there was male dominance or whatever. Just like Sharia law, there's a bunch of male dominance and almost oppression when it was intended to be like protection. Protection turns into oppression because then you're just like keeping them under lock and key and not even trusting them to do. Same with censorship too in China and Russia too. I mean, like if you just have all-out censorship on your citizens, then what's that say? Like you don't trust them to be adults? Like you don't think, "Oh no, they can't manage it themselves. They need to be protected from this." Protected from what? Like America has a bunch of weird stuff out there. Yes, that's true. And like I said, or either earlier this video or probably last video, the cybersecurity professionals of today are hunting predators and murderers, dangerous people, stalkers, people that would harm children or women especially, but not limited to. And they're looking everywhere, myself included. Like not heavily, and I don't work with any government thing or whatever, but it is my civic duty, or my civil duty, and yours, of whatever country you're from, to kind of keep an eye out for this. Like, throw a. My favorite thing is Dungeons and Dragons. It's in the beginning, so this isn't really spoilers, but the Dungeons and Dragons movie that came out recently. What is that, like a? No, not Love and Thunder. That's the other Thor thing. But anyways, um, it's the first main one. Anyways, he sticks a leg out and trips someone running from the cops, basically, the cops at the time. So he's not a cop himself, but he helps out law enforcement, basically. And that's what white hats do. Like, they're not law themselves, but they're not even like quite security guards. Like, I don't have any authority, like, anywhere, literally. In fact, quite the opposite. I have accountability. If I were to ever try to, like, ethically hack a website, I'd get in trouble if I didn't have, like, previous permission. That's why bug bounties are so cool, is because, like, they give you permission to try to pen test or penetrate test a system, and then they could pay you a lot. Like, there's one that's for 50K right now. Um, I mean, I know that it's probably above my head. Like, the stuff that I know to do, I'm sure somebody's already done, like, in the first, like, 10 minutes of that thing being open. So, I mean, not saying I don't know much about cybersecurity. It's just, like, there's a lot of go-tos for your basic pen testing, and I haven't really spent a lot of time learning the more advanced stuff, but you never know. I might stumble into it and be like, oh, hey, 50,000. Oh, I could buy so many computers with that and take them around the world. That's like one of my ultimate goals. And I got a contact in India. But again, there's that censorship. They banned Starlink in India. Now, but that's okay. Like, I mean, anything I do, I'm being very careful. I haven't done anything yet, first of all. But if I do, except for trying to talk with, like, Chinese government officials and a couple Chinese people, but, like, no matter what I say, I'm still, like, at the end of the day, because I was, trying to give one person advice on VPNs, but at the end of the day, I was like, hey, look, I think China's on the verge of opening this up, and I think you should just be patient. Like, that's the best thing to do right now, because, I mean, if you do it in bad faith, if you do it in a sketchy way, it's just going to cause problems. I mean, if you try, I mean, and people are. Like, any time they come to another country, like, they get exposed to all this stuff, I mean, and it's enlightening. I mean, and then you add to it a bunch of, like, mind-expanding drugs that are now legal in Colorado. Um, it's going to even further that type of situation. Let's see. And I'm kind of hesitant to take too much of this stuff, but at the same time, let's take one of these. And I think I actually already did this too. Like, I brought a stack of emeralds over there. Oh, let's put all the seeds there too. I'm gonna put them by the chicken coop. That's what you feed the chickens. And if I was really treating all this livestock as like actual real animals, I'd be doing a lot better job instead of whatever that is. I just gave them a bit of, it's not even that much. Okay, actually, as I say that, it's raining. Let's go ahead and let's fix it. So I'm gonna keep doing that, and then it doesn't get fixed. Keep walking by like, oh, somebody should do something about that. Oh wait, no one's gonna do it if I don't do it. So we just need a few, just to provide them a little more of a terrace type thing. Actually, if we do it up high like this, ah, I do need more. I don't want to dig too much from there. I mean, it doesn't really matter a whole lot. Like, I'm starting to see like exposed rock in other places, so I'll have to fix it eventually. But yeah, I do want to keep this somewhat safe in case I do decide to take it back out of peaceful and harvest some mob loot. Alright, so we've got, so I don't know, and a lot of that, like, it really does align with my morals and values. Like, I mean, I was raised Christian. Like, I have a lot of friends that are Christian, like, let alone Catholic too, which is the more serious sect of Christianity. And then, places I've traveled, like, Christianity is a big thing. So, and it's becoming bigger and bigger everywhere in the world. But also, like, it needs to be backwards compatible. Like, these any solutions that we try to do to fix world problems of religious struggle is you need to show respect to all religions. I mean, a level of respect, I should say. Like even as I say that, there's some that are made in bad faith. I like saying that, in bad faith. Religions that are created just to prove people wrong, like trolling, basically. Like, oh, I'm gonna make a religion made of. That's what the flying spaghetti monster kind of is, but not really, because it's meant to be a ridiculous notion, but at the same time is just as valid as as the evidence we have for the current quote unquote notions or faith. And as that woman was talking, like there's just so many big leaps of faith in there, and I hate that because it just grates against like everything I know about science, and that's not a lot. I'm a computer scientist, amateur or mid-level now, maybe. Let's see. Yeah, we've got wheat, we've got seeds. Yes. Let's go see what this wandering trader has. Oh, slime. Sounds good. Because eventually I want to build a slime farm, which means you have to dig out a lot of area. And flowers. Okay. Did he disappear? He did. Where is he? Oh, it's hard because... Oh, there he is. There, you got him. Okay, because you can't see the bubbles with all the water and everything. Sorry, not that I would ever do that in real life. If a wandering trader came through, that's just a way to not hack the game mechanics, but also, yes, game the system. It's a game. Like, the wandering trader is less likely to spawn again if there's still a wandering trader in your area. Or at least, I'm pretty sure that's how it works, like from what I've seen. I could be wrong, and I would need to really look it up to be sure. But the damage caused by that is only a bit of emotional, psychological, unless you can separate this as being just a game. Also, this is cool, but sucks. Like, I can't figure out... Like, okay, that does it for the top, and supposedly it would be the same, right? Because it's going... Oh, you know what? Actually, as I say that, do I have any more redstone? Yes. I think I see something that might actually... Alright, so basically my logic is it's going there. This is some circuit logic. It powers this. This is a repeater that sends the signal here, but also here, but that doesn't matter because it's coming back here. Then it's going through that into there. I didn't even think about that. This is a component that goes for both times it's pushed. However, what if we do this? Nope, still only does the top one. So if it bypassed this, it'll still light that up. In fact, let's even... Oh, now it doesn't even work, because it has to be... Oh, actually, that makes sense, yeah. Wait, what if this, maybe? No. Yeah, see, I don't know. It's... I can get the top one to move. So I'd almost have to move everything up. I don't know, that gets risky. Or maybe... If I just move this... Oops. I think you gotta face it the right way. Ah, jeez. How did I turn... Did I accidentally turn on the vibrate? I never do that. It's like, for that reason. Uh. Ooh. It's off. Oh, I clicked vibrate on the alarm itself. Okay. So, and right there. Did God do that? No. I accidentally clicked, and I remember floundering with it now. I mean, that's not confirmation bias. It's like when I was setting that alarm, I did kind of touch a few places with my finger as I was trying to put the phone down, like on accident, just juggling it. And so, but even if not, like, it could be a glitch, a bug, but that was definitely user error where I set a setting, and then, so it vibrates. Spooks me, like, and then if someone is very reliant on faith, they could say, oh well, God did that to the, and God could have still done that. Been like, you know what, he's being a putz down there. Let's spook him on this. Or like when I got zapped with a lightning bolt in this game, I would be messing with players so bad, and I'm sure that like, well, that's why they have like lightning rods too. Oh, did it already stop raining? Um, so you can protect yourself against lightning strikes. Now I'm in peaceful mode, so it just hurt, and then I healed right away, so it wasn't a big deal. So, anyways, but that is time. So rather than going into like a 35 minute, 40-minute, like longer episode, we'll just leave it at that. I'm gonna go take a break. I got a couple of things. Well, I'm taking a break already, but I'm working on a couple scratch projects. Oh yeah, I never finished what those were. One, it's a social engineering story where I avoided a fight by freaking out and saying, "Ah, there's sand in my eyes," and that like little trick saved me and a couple of my buddies from fighting some older kids down by a trash pile down over in Nevada, and it was in third grade. I'll just explain it here real quick. And like, I didn't want to fight, so I was like, but I didn't want to like wuss out either. So I just like acted the victim, basically, like, oh my god, my eyes, and then like that caused enough confusion to where, and then everybody just kind of like, I don't know. I think they either like were weirded out by me like freaking out like that, or they didn't want. It was kind of like Chris Farley's The Bees, and honestly, I could have seen that movie before. I think it came out around that time. And my parents let us watch like stuff like that. I had a gun in third grade, like, anyways, a rifle, a hunting rifle, but we just used it for target shooting. But anyways, no, and this like in the movie Tommy Boy, Chris Farley does that. Like he wasn't drinking, but he didn't want the cops to, get him in trouble. So he pretended there was a bunch of bees in the car, and he freaked out. And they didn't want to get stung by bees. So like, okay, so that changes. That's social engineering. Now, is it great social engineering? I don't know. It's debatable. Like, in fact, I won an award. My teacher gave me special recommendation or something like that for how, and I was so sappy. I took everything I learned from like movies and like previews and just said like, and I ran it all together. It's like, coming this fall, the epicness of these kids. And it was that story. The kids were lined up to fight. They didn't know much, but they knew enough. The fight had to go down. And then I think, and I even did that, like I talked about how I said, the sand in my eyes. And it diffused the situation. It was like verbal judo back before I even knew what verbal judo was. And like, which is another social engineering, like whole tool kit, skill set, whatever you want to call it. But you got to get paid to learn that. There's some proprietary, so I can't really go into that. I didn't even read the book, but like, I've learned enough from people that know it, law enforcement and corrections. Anyways, I digress. So yeah, my eyes, and I got out of a fight. Now I didn't use that for other fights, but for that one I did. So for now, ta-ta. I will see you in the next one. Blessed be thee, so saith the flying spaghetti monster.